Welcome back to CX in the Wild Season 4.
Let's start out with who you are and what you do.
I'm Tim Houlne. I'm the CEO of Humach, which stands for Humans Plus Machines. And we focus on AI and automation as you look at CX.
Tim, it's both enlightening and embarrassing at the same time. You and I are both in Dallas. You were gracious enough to host me and at your club, and we talked early on a few years ago, and I'm just now putting together how important you are to the CX industry at large. So I feel in many ways this is like a reboot. Tell me about Humach and what's been going on with you since we met a couple years ago.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you remember. So I've been in the call center business for 30 plus years, right? Was at West, was at GE, CEO of Working Solutions, which was one of the original pioneers of the home agent model. So we joke about preaching the benefits of working from home for 20 plus years. And most companies said no until COVID hit, and the entire globe works from home in 30 days, right?
Yeah.
But about almost 8 years ago, I spun some assets out of Working Solutions Group into Humach to focus on the trend of AI and automation, very specific to customer experience. And so we have live agents today, and we use that to help incubate how you automate these transactions. So we've created what we call Humach Labs, which allow companies to kind of circumvent their IT group. So instead of finding something they like and going back to the IT and IT saying, great, we'll test that in Q2 of 2024, they have the ability to test some of that technology within Humach Labs using their ecosystem, right? So they can actually test and then go back to IT and say, all right, we tested this, now we'd like to roll it out.
Yeah, that's really smart. I feel like you were so far ahead of the curve. When I was first meeting, the first time I was still learning so much about this industry. ChatGPT hits, of course, at the end of last year.
Yep.
And suddenly now everyone is talking about what you're talking about, but you sort of have a head start on everyone. Is that safe to say?
We do. It is. We recognize we have a head start, right? Doing it almost 8 years. But that window's closing very, very fast. There's so much capital investment coming into this space. It looks like the mid-90s when companies were investing in the internet, right? So you look at Microsoft, their investment with OpenAI and ChatGPT enabled them to kind of leapfrog Google. Who would have thought in our lifetime somebody's going to unseat Google at that? And I don't think they will. You've seen Bard with Google come, their response. You have Facebook that was starting to look irrelevant, or Meta now, and now Meta has Llama, and that's going to be extremely relevant.
And they open source
Amazon,
that. Yeah.
And you have Microsoft. And so we think it's great for the industry. I mean, ChatGPT literally opened everybody's eyes. But as you look at the real business implications, you can't really use a large language model. Companies will have their own custom language model that doesn't go out to the public, right?
Do you remember, I'm sure you do, Google tried to have a product that worked inside companies for search. And it sort of reminds me of just what you're saying. I don't think people are going to use ChatGPT out in the wild to also search their internal documents.
What we've done, we've actually created custom language models, kind of neural networks, right? Where you look at by vertical, by company, by product.
Yeah.
Then you can specialize, you can increase the automation containment rate, and the machine doesn't run wild. You still need that human in the loop to do the tuning. But if it's so narrow you don't have access to other information, if somebody asks a different question, you have the ability to go out to a large language model or ChatGPT to get that answer and kind of segment off some of that data. And I think that's where it's headed.
Okay, fair enough. A little hybrid action there.
Exactly.
So in the last 2 years, have you been bringing some new solutions to market for some of your clients?
Absolutely. We both license technology from some of the big players, right? So we partner with Google and Amazon and Microsoft. And, I spoke at the show last year, actually, with Amazon. And we put together a speech analytics tool that can do quality, but can also now do the ingest. So I can take transactions, I can take recorded calls, I can take chats, I can take training curriculum and ingest that into the machine and start to spin up that digital agent right? In an automated environment, which is using the AI to actually spin it up. So there's some very, very, very cool tools. As you walk around here, you'll see.
Yeah.
Some are ready for prime time. Some are not.
Some are
good
not.
Demos,
That's
good
true.
demos. But yeah, there's a lot of technology emerging right now. It's actually very interesting for the industry.
Nice. And so help me with Humach, the range of services that you offer. Because even now, I feel like it's a lot of different things. I'm like, put a point on some of those key services.
Very simple. So think of us as a BPO outsourcer that we provide live agents. We have agents in the U.S., Mexico, and Jamaica. And we use those agents to actually do the training on what we will automate.
Oh, that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I'm living in that company's environment, right? I know their entire ecosystem on what we're connected to, what we have APIs to, what we don't have APIs to, have their training curriculum. And from there, we start to look at, what we can automate with AI, how we can improve the customer experience, right? Some of these companies aren't even 24/7. In today's world, how can you not be 24/7? At least attempt to automate a transaction. And that's a better customer experience than telling somebody to call back at 8 a.m.
Now, you know what? Now you just hit a pain point. I have some AI tools that I've subscribed to.
Yeah.
And I needed to get a project out, a content project, and I was using one of these tools that does it creates you put the script in and then the face says it. And I needed to get this thing rendered for my show on Monday morning. And I was doing it on Friday night. And I was like, hey, I'm having this problem. And they were like, we're not back until Monday. I'm like, how does that help me? What kind of AI is this? What kind of technology solution provider are you?
It didn't even attempt to resolve your transaction. And that's where you get back to the human in the loop. You're going to, Humach, humans plus machines, you're going to need that human in the loop. Editorial review, ethical review, tuning the machine, tagging the data, right? You're always going to have that component because the machine can start to hallucinate too. You've saw that out with ChatGPT. I'm sorry, and it presents some wrong answer. You're like, I know that's wrong, but that's what you have to prevent is the machine starting to hallucinate by the bad data input.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, most of the time the bad data input is me with ChatGPT.
User error.
Yeah. So is it safe to say, who is your ideal client? Like who buys things from you?
Yeah. So we target medium to large businesses because they're not going to have the necessary resources to stand up some of this. So we provide a managed service solution where we'll provide somebody with a PhD in conversational design and scripting, and we'll help create the neural network in the machine, and we'll do the APIs into some of their technology, right? The medium to large companies won't have that on staff. And once you build it, you don't need all those resources on staff as well. And then the large companies, some of them are so large and they're so bureaucratic that they want to test within our Humach Labs environment because you can segment off those transactions. So instead of saying, hey, we made this adjustment, how can you measure that across your network of 3,000 agents across your enterprise? And so they can segment those solutions within a Humach Labs environment. And now you can isolate it. You know exactly what dials you turn to make it better, improve customer experience, and improve NPS, however you measure, whatever your KPIs are.
I'm going to simplify this, because I'm still I'm not as smart as you are. It sounds like what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost like you are forgive my marketing terms, like a quick win incubator or a beta testing lab that on demand beta testing. Are those accurate?
Good way to look at it. We can provide the live agents. We can provide the AI and automation, which really are digital agents, right? And then we have the managed services. So when you don't have those resources, we can literally stand that up. We're actually TalkDesk's largest reseller. I have a meeting with them right after this, but companies have asked us, can you stand that instance up and manage that instance? And so now I have all the APIs into the data. Where's the data? Because that's what it takes to transact from an AI perspective. And so, to simplify it, live agents, digital agents, managed services.
That's such an interesting, I don't think I've seen anyone else here in that category.
Yeah. I don't think anybody does the managed service component like we do. And that's really the lesson that we've learned over the last 8 years, right? So you thought Humach Labs was a great idea. It was out of necessity because business owners would say, I love that, but let's test it. Yeah. And they go back to IT, and IT's like, yep, our roadmap's full for the next 2 years. And you're like, no, I want to test it now. If it works, roll it out. If it fails fast, and look at something else. So business owners, business leaders, right? They're not going to sit tight to let IT dictate that roadmap because this AI is changing the world overnight. It's going to happen very quickly. So yes, we have a head start, but we're looking at it. Is it now 6 month, 12 month, 18 month? It's not a giant head start anymore, right? So we got to act fast.
What are you paying attention to when you're not the CEO? What are you looking at in the world of technology and customer experience for the entire industry? What are you paying attention to besides AI?
I mean, AI is so big. And so I've been doing this for almost 8 years. A year into it, I realized I don't know anything. So I took a certification at MIT on machine learning and AI in business and got my certification. And I was a keynote speaker at UTD Women in Technology 2 weeks ago. And they said, can you talk about AI in 20 minutes? And I'm like, I've been doing this for almost 8 years. I feel like I don't know enough. And if you look at the world doesn't know enough. Look at some of the most seasoned, high-ranking executives at the largest companies in the world, and they don't know. I think what keeps me up at night is the regulation. How are we going to regulate this, right? And that's happening today. That changes on a daily basis. I don't know if you can put the genie back in the bottle.
Is there regulations? Can you talk about some of the regulations, or what pending regulations do you see on the horizon for customer experience companies?
From an AI perspective, I think it's going to be. That's a tough answer. If you look at the CEO of OpenAI has been meeting with legislators trying to come up with ideas. I mean,
what a great way to smokescreen the rest of the industry.
That's exactly what I thought too. Where it's like, I'll sneak in there and we will dictate what that is. And that obviously won't happen. But you have the largest CEOs. I mean, look at the quotes on AI with the head of Google and Microsoft and Meta. I mean, and Elon Musk, right? But the regulation is going to be interesting. How you can't put the genie back in the bottle. I had one of the legislators. Well, let's make it age, so you have to be a certain age to use AI. That's the craziest idea I've ever heard.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, I think that's really what I've been looking at. How will that change? Because you can't, again, put the genie back in the bottle. Somebody could be in a garage with a supercomputer.
Yeah.
And they can do anything they want.
God, I've been dying to figure out how I can do. I watch all these videos and like, here's how you set up your own instance of AI on your own computer. And I'm like, I'm finally too old to do this stuff.
Yeah. You know what I did actually for that presentation? I asked ChatGPT to write me a PowerPoint presentation on AI, and don't leave any bookmarks. And it literally spit out the code, and you drop that code in. And I don't know anything about code, and I literally copied the code right into ChatGPT, and it spit out the PowerPoint. I didn't use it all. Again, back to the human. Yeah. I changed a bunch of it, but it literally wrote all the code, Visual Basic code for me. I have no idea what it all meant. It just started spitting out.
Maybe ChatGPT can help me create an instance of ChatGPT. What do you think? How do you feel about this show today? What do you like about the industry this year?
I think the show's better than I anticipated. There's more buyers. In the past, I think we've run into, there's probably more exhibitors than buyers. There's more brands here. There's more people interested in CX. And like we talked earlier, not just contact center, right? And people try to pigeonhole some of this. You're a call center. No. But it's CX. And now organizations, right? Innovative companies with forward-thinking executives have CX leaders that understand this. That's what's exciting to me this year.
Awesome. Well, Tim, I'm so glad we caught up here in CCW. We're going to have to catch up again back in Dallas and figure out how we can collaborate together. Any last parting words for the audience?
No, thanks for your time. And yeah, we don't want to have to come to Las Vegas to hook up. Let's hook up in Dallas.
All right. Thanks, sir.
All right.
Thanks for listening to CX in the Wild. We hope to see you the next episode.